Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the series premiere of The Sinner. Very good premiere, a lot of introduction in the beginning, but I mean, even then, it kind of gets right to it when the episode, obviously goes through. It's kind of interesting when you get that, it's interesting because right from the beginning, she seems out of it. Cora, Jessica Biel's character seems like really out of it. Or she just seems like she's going through the motions of life, with her husband Mason. She just automatically seems out of it, and I don't know what it is. And it's like then the moment happens, but they're like, it's like we're getting a jump into their lives. It's not like we got to see their lives a little while. It's like, no, it's literally a day before things go down. Like before she kills that dude, Frankie, it's like, it's literally a day. So we don't really know what their life was really like before. And I mean, to make it seem like it was all good, but I mean, obviously there's probably more to it than that. I mean, considering the whole circumstances, like, even from when I was originally watching, like, when I saw commercials for this and everything, immediately my brain goes to hypnosis. Because it seems like the moment she killed him, it was like the music kicked on. There's a thing later on when she's in her, cell, and then she's like, I need pills to sleep, and there's music playing, so it's like, it's all in her head, or maybe it's like some kind of traumatic thing where it's like her dealing with, the realization of what she really did or something, and then maybe the music played in her head to, I don't know, kind of drive her insane. I feel like that was the trigger, because it's like she was staring at him the way he was all over her and everything, like in a playful, consenting sense, obviously. But like she's like, get off of her, and then stabbed him repeatedly, and it's like, and then even Mason says it later on that she walked up to the girlfriend Leah and was like, you're okay. He won't hurt you anymore. You're safe now. She saved her. So there does, like I said, there is definitely something wrong there. Because what kind of caught me off guard was the fact that she 100% confessed all the way through. She never once was like, I didn't do it. She's like, no, I did it. She's explaining. They're like, okay, why did you? It's like, the music was too loud. It's like, no. You don't just kill someone for some music being too loud. It's like, she's like, I don't know. It's like, legitimately, she's like, it just happened. I just did it. So, like I said, it seems like there was some kind of trigger there. It seems like a combination of things. Maybe the music playing, because the music we heard in her cell later on was the same music let's play. So either that was the trigger, or maybe it's a sense of maybe she heard that music, but that's not actually what came out the speakers or whatever. Like I said from the beginning, they just set it up to be like she is just a normal lady, but but you can't help but notice things just seem a little off for her with her. She just, like I said earlier, going through the motions, and it just kind of something I couldn't help but notice. There's even a part before it all went down, she went out into the water, she swam out a lot further, and then she dived down in the water she was trying to kill herself. And it wasn't until Mason and her son started calling out for her that she came back up. Maybe it just registered something, and like I said, something's off. It's actually kind of sad how things broke down in the sense of Mason in particular, she calls him in the episode when she's at the police station, but he doesn't answer, and then later on he actually goes to the police station, but he leaves immediately without even going inside, just because. And he later on explains why. It's because he's like, I don't know what to say to her, and it's understandable. It's like he's stuck in shock and all. It's like this woman that he loves just did this out of nowhere, and I mean, even later on when he's talking to her, he finally sits down and talks to her. He's trying to understand it better, why did she do what she did, But even she can't really give an explanation. She's just like, I think something's wrong with me. She's being like, if you need to, Mason, just move on with your life. Just, I will understand. I won't blame you. This wasn't you. You were a good man. For the once in my life, I felt like I had a normal life, which I'll get to that in a second. So it's like, if you need to move on, which I think he has a hard time dealing with that. So he just leaves, because it's like, after everything that's happening right now, you're just telling me to move on, leave, and forget about you. It's like, I couldn't imagine being in that particular situation, obviously for either one of them, but it's like, I guess because in her mind she's like, I did this bad thing, I did it, I'm sure there's a part of her that's questioning it, but at the same time she's just accepting it. She's not fighting it. She turns down getting a lawyer. She's like, I already told you guys, the cops are asking her questions. She's like, I already told you, I did it. I've confessed twice already. Why do you need me to keep saying it? But the thing is, really quickly, I was bringing up the fact it's the whole normal life situation. So we get a little peek into her childhood in this episode. Obviously, we have that thing with her dad and everything, and she's like, oh yeah, she wants Phoebe to come home, her little sister, but she's like, not her mom. He's like, oh, you don't mean that. And then later on, you get a peek into why she might feel like that, because the moment her mom's there, she's like, oh look, this is your little sister Phoebe. She's like, the fact of the matter is, Cora, when you were born, you drained everything away from me because you giving birth to you was like giving birth to three children, and because of that, I had nothing left for Phoebe. That's why Phoebe is sick. Which is like, whoa, why are you doing that? It's like you're guilting your daughter, making her feel like it's her fault. It's like, oh, it's because of you, because you were such a hassle to give birth to that your sister is sick now. It's like, what kind of fucked up thing is that to say to your kid? Like, and the dad didn't say anything too. So it's like, does he feel that same way? Did he leave the room? I mean, I don't know. It seemed like he was almost being like, even before like Cora came in, he was like, she's like, his wife was like, no, I can handle this. So it's like, I don't know. It definitely seems like there is like obviously a religious angle to this, the whole like title of the show, to the center, which also really quickly, I kind of weird like this, but I like the opening of it. Obviously the ink blots, kind of forming together. Obviously, that's going, like I said, it seems like it's going to have like a psychological aspect of like trying to break down like why she did what she did. So maybe she'll get a psychologist or see a psychologist to understand whether or not she just purposely killed Frankie, or was it a sense of like she like legitimately lost her mind and killed him, like, because we get introduced to Bill Pullman's character Harry, and he's like, it's like, no, the way she did it was out of impulse. That's like something you would do to like, something more intimate. Like the way that she went after him, that was something more intimate. So it's like, Cora says she doesn't know him, but the way she went about attacking him, it's like you knew him. But then there's the whole aspect of like, the friend Patrick who was there. Cause even like, Harry was like, why didn't you stop her? Like, you look like you're in pretty good shape, but you didn't stop her. You were closer, yet Mason was the one that kind of pulled him back. And then, like, Patrick kind of explains, it's like, okay, it's something weird, I didn't really, you caught up in the moment, you think you're seeing things or hearing things. But the moment she stabbed him in the neck, Frankie grabbed her arm, but the moment he looked and saw who it was, like, he recognized Cora, he let go. So it's like, wait a minute, he let her kill him? So that turned, there's like different layers to it. Like, I don't know, like I said, immediately my brain goes to hypnosis, like someone wanted her to kill him. Maybe it's actually even Leah herself. Maybe she set this whole thing up or something. I don't know. Because it's interesting, they kind of nod to the fact is that there hasn't been a homicide in like 2 years. The last one was a man killed his wife. So the fact that they threw that in there kind of makes me think it might be connected to this. Like it might be a similar circumstance. Because what's interesting too is why Harry's like the only one that's pushing for, we should look a little deeper in this, because everyone else, all the other cops are like, no. This is handled. Like she confessed and everything. Why do we need to know the motives? Why do we need to know why? But he's the only one pushing for that. There's even this moment in the episode we had the lady cop that's taking her picture and sending her off to wait arraignment in jail. It's like that. There was moments where she just kind of looked, almost like she was sad when she looked at Cora. So I don't know whether she personally knew Cora or something. There was no interaction like they did know each other, but it's like, maybe it's like, oh, I knew you back in the day. You probably just don't remember me. I don't know. I feel like she would have said something that's out of the case, but it's like, I don't know. It's just the way she was looking, like when Cora was asking for Mason, it's like, you tell me when you came. It's like, he never came. And then they're like sending her away and she looks sad about the whole thing. It's like, I wonder why. That was just kind of an interesting little detail I couldn't help but notice. And since I'm bringing him up too, Harry, like, there's definitely something going on with his whole situation. It seems like he's probably going through a divorce or something with his wife. He visits, because I was like, okay, so is he stalking like his ex or something? The lady he was checking out in the cafe is like, no, she's some kind of sex worker, I would assume. At first I was kind of wondering if she's a dominatrix or something, because of the fact is that she slapped him and then stepped on his fingers and everything. So, I mean, whatever the case may be, it might be a situation of like, that's what he pays or asks for, is to kind of be, I don't know, whether that's why he has issues with his wife, because the lady was like, oh, did your wife take you back? Because it's been a month. So I guess it's a situation of him trying to break it off, trying to probably get his life back in order or whatever, but it didn't work out, and he kind of finds himself falling back into old habits. So it's definitely a series where it's seeming like it's not just her story, it's also his story, because we're probably going to learn more about like why his situation is. Obviously, like, Cora's story is the biggest focus of it, but at the same time, it's like we'll probably get side bits about him too, and maybe his story might influence this story. I don't know. Because there's a whole situation with his nails too, that like two of his fingernails like are part of them are kind of like purplish. As it's the same hand that she steps on, so I don't know whether that's supposed to like be some like thing of being like, oh, like she owns me or something. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Like I said, a very good episode, a very good premiere, kind of getting it started right off the bat. Like so many thoughts about like where everything could go. Like I brought up earlier, definitely some kind of religious thing to it. I mean, we don't really know how her parents or her family situation fits into this. We don't know if she actually like, she hasn't come up yet, but maybe it's just because she has. I mean, we don't know the situation with her little sister Phoebe. What is up with her old family dynamic? Because her mom brought up something like, "Oh, we do what we have to." Whatever it is, basically kind of alluded to, I think what she's trying to say is like, whatever God asks of us, we do it because that's the only way we can make sure Phoebe stays alive. So it's like I said, it seems like some very like hardcore religion, like stuff going on, like I said, like shaming her and everything, like, oh, it's your fault, so basically you have to take the responsibility because you drained me, your sister is sick, you know, could die, so it's like up to you to do whatever it takes to make this happen. So I think on that same level, that's why she didn't want her mom to come out. It's like, oh yeah, my sister Phoebe, sure, but mom, no, because I think her mom's kind of scary. Like whether, like I said, whether her dad's like that or not, it doesn't seem like it, but it almost seems like her dad is okay with everything. Granted, maybe he left the room during that whole conversation, I don't know. It does seem at this point in time both her parents are gone, so she doesn't really have any family outside of Mason, which they've only been married for like 3 years. So your question it turns into like, you know, what else? I mean, hopefully we'll get more looks at her life but prior to meeting Mason to really understand like what her not normal life. I mean, which even for a little bit we've seen is like, yeah, your life's not that normal. It's kind of messed up. I'm sure it's going to be even more so going forward, like when we get, I would assume, flashes to it. So, I mean, because there's so many questions already immediately being brought up. It's like, why Frankie specifically? Why in such a public way? Like, was it meant to go down like that? You know, was it a sense of like it was just the wrong place at the wrong time, or was it always meant to go down at that? You know, it's actually considered a park. And what's Cora's connection to Frankie? Because it's like Patrick said, it seemed like he knew her. So it is a situation of like, it's like blocked off memories or something. Because apparently there's no situation of her having like any mental health issues, because that's what's so surprising. And that's the biggest focus of the series. It came out of nowhere, her doing this. She doesn't really know what to do. But once again, it's like, oh, she was saying like, get off her. Like I'll save you. So it's like maybe some like repressed memories combined with like someone like messing with her head. Like maybe they took some aspects from her past and combined it with, you know, not whether it was something that happened specifically to her or maybe it happens to someone that she cared about. Maybe it's like she didn't act when she was supposed to, like when she needed to, she didn't act. And maybe it like held some like deep regrets inside that she basically someone manipulated and turned it into a weapon, maybe. Why would she remember meeting Frankie? Maybe, you know, once again, someone messed with her head. Also, once again, like, why is Harry so focused on it? Like I said, every other cop willing to let it go, but he's so determined to like, no, there's gotta be more to this than that. Like, he's trying to understand it, and I'm curious why, you know? I mean, there's obviously the aspect of just being a good, thorough cop, but it's like, no, everything's already set, the table, but you want to know why. You know, maybe it's something connected to his past that's like, oh, maybe he messed up in a case and he always wants to be super thorough. He wants to understand everything. I mean, then once again, it is a very rare case of like, it came out of nowhere, so you have to wonder why. Everyone's wondering why. Mason's wondering why. I'm sure she doesn't really express it too much, but even Cora's wondering like why, so. And like I brought up earlier too, there was also that case of a man killing his wife. So obviously it doesn't seem like this is a one-off situation, so like, what would be the motive there in that particular situation, and why this situation? Are they related? Are they unrelated? Maybe that particular case has absolutely nothing to do with it. Maybe it's just kind of like oh man, this is a decently quiet town where to the point like murders don't happen that often. Now it's like, oh, this big case is just kind of like sweeping over the town, and just like, oh wow, this came out of nowhere. So, but like I said earlier, I feel like it has to be connected, because I don't know, it just seemed like just like putting that out there like that makes me think there's something more to it. And there's also this thing about Harry's character that kind of pops up throughout the episode too. It's like, apparently like plants and stuff, he keeps moaning. It's like, oh yeah, this is that this is that. Oh, this plant when he was talking to Patrick is like, oh yeah, you can tell that it's not getting enough sun. It's like, what is that about? Is that just supposed to be just kind of like, oh, that's one of his character's quirks? I don't know. I feel like there's more to that too. It's a premiere, so every little thing you're kind of like, that's got to mean something. That's got to mean something, you know. So I mean, we'll find out later on whether or not there really is anything to it or not. To anyone that doesn't know, this is a limited run series. It's literally only like 8 parts and it's done. But I am very interested to see, like, you know, where the next episode takes us. I mean, as well as the rest of the season. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.